on the dollar. But all that we need to do is to increase productivity. If supply exceeds demand, the pressure on the dollar comes down. Mr. Speaker, it will surprise you to see a very big factory set up in my constituency. That is 1 hour drive from Accra. A juice sack factory that can produce over 600,000 bags of juice sack. If Ghana Cocoa Board can import sacks, produce sack for Ghana Cocoa Board, Mr. Speaker, I would urge the sector minister to take up and work on this factory. I'm talking about Adesso, not far from Accra. The investors are thank the maker of the statement and also urge the House to take the necessary action for the factory that we call Kotoku factory at Adesso to be revamped for the youth to get something to do. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for your indulgence.
Thank you, Honorable Sanyaku.
Mr. Speaker, in specific relation, our trade sector. Right, Honorable Speaker, the previous colleague who just spoke and in contributing to the statement made by the Honorable MP for New Durban South, not in our country, but many a time you see government moving outside even the shores of our country to get the same thing and at an exorbitant price. Right, Honorable Speaker, just less than 40 minutes from here, in my own constituency where Tetekwashi brought the cocoa pod from Fernando Po to plant, that today Ghana is also highly regarded as a major cocoa producing country. President Kufuor started a chocolate processing factory. Unfortunately, before President Kufuor could end his tenure, the factory was at just about 70 to 75% completion. Up to today, it's been left there. But then when you see some of these factories coming up, and you have the existing that we sometimes expand to create jobs for our own, strengthen our trade sector and the industrial sector, there are some key things that must also come to play. One, the attitude of our people in reacting, producing, and also consuming what we also produce in Ghana becomes very critical. Many of the state-owned enterprises, and Mr. Speaker, I prefer to buy foreign rice for even the currency of our country, industrial sector. Since of even this, end up carrying the burden of paying the entire credit that they even help to secure, guarantee, or support constituents and people who may be in need. I believe that even though the foundation has been laid, let me commend the old companies and also the establishment of new ones. But I believe that these companies will eventually die off if we do not even consume what they are producing, if we do not take advantage of what they are even producing. I won't say you can compel somebody to just necessarily consume what you produce in Ghana, but I think we should also make it much more attractive that they are producing to see them on these shelves. In the past, we've had several of these beverages. After 3-4 months, after a year, you do not even find them on the price that now all over the world. Right, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, in conclusion, I would like to also appeal to you to use your good office to help my people in my constituency that the Tetekwashi chocolate factory that was started on the Minister for Trade and the Agro-Business or Minister of Agriculture.
Proceed and conclude.
So that we can also have the people having the benefit of at least getting some employment opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Professor. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for catching my eye
this time around. Mr. Speaker, all member allow. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the important contribution in bringing this subject matter to the floor. We must embrace as a country. Indeed, that is supposed to be the future of the country. Because if you mention most of these developed countries, they have reached where they are because of industrialization. We as a country are blessed to other countries. They get them processed and then we import them with a lot of hard currencies to be able to use as a country. Meanwhile, we have huge potential to be able to establish these to be able to establish these industries to take care of these things. Let me mention that the challenges we face as a country in developing technological know-how, we have trained our people with the requisite technological know-how to be able to man our industry. The other challenge we have as a country is high cost of production. You have industries that are falling up because of high production. I remember a case where there was this company producing pads. Because of high cost of production, they had to fold up in this country at relatively very low cost. The products, when they produce and bring the products to this country, they are able to sell it far lesser than the price they were selling in this country and still make profit. So which means that the cost of production is a matter that we have to look at as a country. Transiting into renewable energy, that is what we have to look at as a country. Let's see how we can introduce these renewable energy sources in our industries. And I'm sure when that is done, it can help to bring down cost of production and also reduce the burden on this our industries. The other issue that we have to look at is the taxes. The taxes are so much, at the end of the day, they cannot even break even, and that is very worrisome. One thing that we also have to look at is to try and see how we can introduce these industries in our rural communities. I know the previous government tried to look at this 1D, 1F, but if you look at the way they tap some of these they name it as industry. And so we need to really look at industries in the district. So, Mr. Speaker, on my recommendation, I will urge us as a country to try and see how we can more industries. We have to also train more people. That way we can motivate to let people stay and work in the. And if we are able to do all these things, I believe strongly that take our industrialization more seriously and get to establish more industries to be able to accommodate the teething unemployment we have as a country. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Very much. I give the floor to Honorable Samuel Abujinapo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by the Honorable Michael Ochre-Befi, MP for New Joabin South. So, Speaker, on a very important subject, which is the industrial sector and trade for sustainable economic growth. And so, Speaker, I think that the Honorable MP should be commended for bringing this very topical matter, and I should say, a very between the United States of America, China, Mexico, Canada, and the European Union, and the retaliatory slapping of import duties and tariffs on their respective imports. And this is why the whole area and sector of trade in our country, mainly by the Honorable MP, and the contributions made. I think the question of trade facilitation, how competitive are our ports, the Tema port, the Takoradi port, as opposed to Lomé port, and all of that, I think it's absolutely important that we pay attention to that. Mr. Speaker, the Buankra Inland Port, which was begun by the Akufo-Addo government and which is almost complete as a tool or a vehicle for trade facilitation and promotion. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Debr in the Savannah region of Ghana, and Debr becoming the hub for transportation of goods from Savannah region to Burkina Faso, is going to complete this project and make it as an anchor and use as an anchor for trade facilitation and trade promotion. Mr. Speaker, another area of significant importance is the Continental Free Trade Area. And the Africa Continental Free Trade Area has a mandate to promote. Ghana is leading the effort, Mr. Speaker, at ensuring that we have African integration when it comes to trade in Africa. To build a continental market. Mr. Speaker, the statistic is that intra-African trade is some 7% of all the trade that happens within Africa. 70%, and the benefits that will accrue as a nation if, for example, we are able to export our salt to places like particular attention to. So, Speaker, we also need to look at import substitution. Import substitution is absolutely important because if we are able to promote import substitution, Mr. Speaker, and produce as much, that is the only way we can retain Ghanaian wealth within Ghana, and that is how we can promote the private sector of Ghana. Because that is how we will not export our hard-earned currency, hard-earned foreign currency. And if I may say, Mr. Speaker, almost everything we consume in our country brought about the one district, one factory. And I think it's particularly refreshing, Mr. Speaker, that the new government is also brought about agro-business as a component, particularly in the farming enclaves of our country, Afram Plain, Northern Ghana, and other parts of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by indicating that the statement which is being made by the Honorable Member of Parliament calls for a lot more thorough examination, because across the world, they want to put, at the same time, I think it's about time that our country also begins to examine and interrogate how we can build a protectionist economy in our country, a protectionist national economy, where we produce here, we consume what we produce, and whatever we have in excess, we are able to export, beginning with the West African region of Africa and the continental economy of Africa, to ensure that the Ghanaian economy grows, so we can have the sustainable economic growth the Honorable Member of Parliament is calling for. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, leader.
First of all, thank you for the admirable endurance shown today. If one counts the number of statements you have admitted, it is not ordinary, and I want to commend you, Mr. for trade, carrying the experience along. So let me try to veer off, not to repeat, but narrow my contribution. It's not debatable, Speaker, that we have to depart from what the first president of this country, President Nkrumah, led, and get on to and blaze the path where growth, industrial revolution will be private sector led. That model has to sink and change the narrative. Speaker, the state's leading industrialization has failed. It's failed. And many of the industries that were built from independence had to be sold out to private entities. We can have another day to make that argument, but the point is that a private sector-led industrial growth is what can change the narrative and change the story. And for me, that should be the fulcrum of the discussion. We have something in our constitution called Chapter 6, Directive Principle of State Policy. Successive government have a moral mandate and responsibility to continue what the previous government has started off. If it is the case that the previous government, we may have our criticism of shortfalls. I took a casual look at the NDC's manifesto on industrialization. It is essentially not different from what the NPP stood for. It's essentially by the NPP administration. You are going to continue with that. Speaker, let's come to that stage.
Member address me.
Yes, Speaker, I'm addressing you. Let's come to that stage of our development paradigm where we will say that let's jettison the shame, if there is any, and say that the LPP started 1D, 1F. It's built this number of industries. So we will have to continue with that. We continue the ones. I'm not here to tell you the number of industries we've built. I don't have the statistics. Probably the former minister can tell you. But I'm making a point that one day you will also not be in government. One day you'll be out. In fact, soon you'll be out. Soon you'll be out. Soon you'll be out.
Honorable Member, please be guided after that.
I'll stay on course. So let's continue a culture of continuity. That is what I'm speaking to. A culture of continuity is what we should look at. So Africa has the youngest population globally. And we know the incidental effect of this on industrial growth, incidental effect of population on the growth of the economy and the growth of a country. We are told Sub-Saharan Africa is projected to be the second fastest growing region globally after Asia. We are also told that now, unlike before where Nigeria was leading, seen as the biggest economy, South Africa now has the biggest economy, arguably the biggest. We have a lot of gold deposit in our country, but we are allowing our country. What is it about our policy of free expression? Not current. Free zone. Now the experts are talking about economic zone, and not too far, Cote d'Ivoire here. Cote d'Ivoire is becoming more competitive in terms of investment destination than Ghana. What are they doing right? They consistently been reviewing their policy on free zone. So we are not to rehash the high points of my colleague's statement. I'm simply saying that Adongo walking in, who I know will be named very soon by His Excellency the President, will be named very soon. What we are saying is that we are the NPP administration, and this is what can change the fortunes. Elsewhere, South Africa, when government changes, you see the previous government and the succeeding government exchanging notes. After all, what is it? It's about the welfare of our people. I believe strongly that when it comes to industrialization, we are better positioned. The interrelations about raw material usage, market sources, the fact that Sub-Saharan Africa, we're not trading amongst ourselves, these are basic matters that can be dealt with. But the problem itself, let's go away or shift the paradigm and say that enough of the politicking. As long as there is something done which we consider as a productive and something we can continue as a succeeding government, we should lay claim to it, own it, and say that it's a state project. Let's sustain it. And I think if we begin to change our attitude as politicians, as the political class, we will make a very good progress. We shouldn't be too worried about the number of factories that the NPP built. After all, they built some. We built a number of them. Improve upon them. Don't shy away from the 1D, 1F. Own it. See it as a state project, and then we can make the success that we are all desirous of seeing. So let me conclude by inviting a number of statements I've made in this house. We purgate motions, we lament, and then we leave it there. Notwithstanding the fact that we haven't formed or fully constituted our committees. Speaker, I know you are very wise in such matters, and you can guide us how to navigate. It's a very important statement that we can't just let go. maybe pending the formation of the committee, have the Ministry for Trade now recouched as the Ministry for Trade and Agribusiness. I commend His Excellency the President. And so, Speaker, I will invite you, if it finds favor with you, to make some appropriate consequential directives that I know by next week the committees will be fully constituted. They should take a look at this statement and see how we can draw on the trust of it and relate it properly for the betterment of our country. Speaker, let me commend the Speaker for
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And let me also thank the maker of this. Mr. Speaker, I think there is no doubt in anybody's mind in this country that Ghana wants to industrialize. We want to become, and we want to do the same. Where we have always got it wrong is actually the one. But the simple fact is that we want Ghana to become a manufacturing economy. We want to add value to all the resources that we are endowed with, so that we'll be able to make the shelf value of these things, longer and valuable. There's no question about that. Whether you want to do it through 1D, 1F, or whichever means you want to do it, Ghana must industrialize. That is the bottom line. We are in a continent where we don't do much business with ourselves. Intra-trade is about 3%, and we do business with the rest of the world. Even where we have created an African continental free trade, we are not taking advantage of it. We have not put in any preparation that shows to anyone that Ghana will. I'm not quite sure whether we get to know about continuity when we go to a position or when we are in government. Because Commander Sugar Factory was handed over to you 8 years ago. We forgot about continuity. All of a sudden, we have remembered continuity. Ghana does not produce a grain, not even a grain of sugar. If you go to Uganda has about 20 factories, over 20 factories, sugar factories. We don't produce a single sugar in this country. Previous government put up a commander sugar factory. 8 years, it's not working. Ghana still does not produce a grain of sugar. For me, it did not work. And that's not the argument here. And we have 24-hour economy. Yes, you don't want to hear that. But for the next 4 years, you hear about 24 hours. For the situation that we are in at the moment, we believe that is the way to go. We need to be able to produce more. We are not producing more in this country. So 24-hour economy will enable us to triple what we are currently with 3 people working. If you don't want this, what do you really want? We talk unemployment is in the roof at the moment. We need to get our people working. Young people haven't got jobs to do. We need to create jobs for them. And not just for the fun of it, for us to be able to produce. The former minister for lands was talking about imports. You cannot just come and pass a law for what you are banning. That's what we have endured in the last few years, where we have people who are promoting banning of things we don't produce in this country. So when we start producing those things, then we can actually start, we're actually going to increase prices. We are talking about, the minister was also talking about basically looking at what the Americans are doing by being a put your economy and not bring people in, but you want to export to somebody else. It's import and export. You export what you are good at and you import what you are not good at, so that you'll be able to bring things into this country either as capital good or something to produce this. We are endowed with so many things in this country, yet we don't do much to it. So 24-hour economy is about value addition. Value addition, that the agriculture produce or the product that we have in the agriculture sector, we are adding value to it. That's what agribusiness is. Add value to it before you either export it or consume it, so that you'll be able to improve the shelf life. Something that will rot in 10 days, you can add value to it and keep it for years and be able to increase the value when you export it. So, important statement by the former minister, but it looks as if we become a bit more knowledgeable about things when we get into opposition. When we are in government, we don't remember some of these things. Let our act together. We will work together on this for Ghana to be able to turn Ghana into a manufacturing economy. That is the only way we can survive as a country and take advantage of this African continental free trade that we keep talking about. African continental free trade, and we cannot take advantage of them. So as we go along signing agreement, we also have to look at how those agreements will actually benefit us as a country. So free trade headquarters sitting in Accra, and so what benefit are we getting out of that? And those are the things we need to look at. Mr. Speaker, I would like to end here. This is going to be a very long conversation for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honourable members. This is a very important statement transmitted to the minister responsible for trade, agribusiness and industry for her perusal and necessary action. Honourable members, statement time has ended. Either any indication?
Mr. Speaker, it's been a long day. I think we would like to thank you for actually allowing the number of statements that have been made today and the contributions that we have on this. We are in your hands, and I think that we are tired.
Members, in line with Standing Order 56, it is only when we have done more than 5 hours that you can be in my hands. So once we are within the 5 hours, you cannot be in my hands. So I advise that remove a motion for adjournment.
Speaker, that is why you are so admirable. The Speaker is so admirable. Yes, what he should have done was to move the motion, because Order 55(3).
Speaker, it's been the required time, and again for tomorrow, 12 o'clock. 12. For 12 o'clock, Mr. Speaker.
Tomorrow we adjourn to 10 o'clock. Yes, the motion has been moved for adjournment and
For 10 o'clock.
that is so.
I second the motion.
It's now for the consideration of the House. Those in favor say aye. The House is accordingly adjourned to Friday, the 14th day of February 2025 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon.